It's interesting how some people have a wonderful father and still go wayward. And then there's other
Right.
people who have terrible fathers who turn out wonderful. And I don't fully understand how and why it all works. However, I do think it is our job to like set the best example we can possibly set. Because a lot of people, I think, guys who turn out good who had bad fathers, their goal in life is to be the opposite of how their father was.
Yeah.
Maybe to break a generational curse. Be that dad that they wish that they had. So I think your goal, if you're trying to be a good father, is not to be the type of dad that your kid doesn't want to become.
What is up, my friends? Welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast, where I interview incredible fathers, gaining wisdom from their stories for you and I to grow in our own craft of fatherhood. I'm your guide, Ned Shout, father to 5 kiddos, currently ages 13 to 20, and husband to my rad wife, Sarah, working on our 21st year of marriage. So yes, I am in the thick of it, and I'm working daily to rebel against low expectations set for fathers. You and I have the greatest opportunity to impact our world through the way we embrace our fatherhood role, the role of the fathers to serve, guide, steward, protect, and of course, find joy and have fun in the messiness of it all. I'm so excited for you to meet today's guest, Ben Barker. Ben Barker, father to 4, husband to 1, fitness guru, regularly on Instagram, just inspiring men to follow their faith, love their wife, love their kids, and do family together. Enjoy meeting my new friend, Ben. All right, Ben, here we are, Fatherhood Field Notes. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great, and I just want to go for the record, immediate respect. When you kind of shoot from the hip, we pray and hit record. Like, that's a win for me already.
Like, dude, it's game time. We're in the gym. We're in the podcast dojo. Let's just get it going. Let's not dilly-dally, huh?
Agree. I'm on the same page. Same page.
Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay, dude, I love the fitness stuff. I love the Instagram. I tried rocking like a fitness Instagram. Like we did this thing through this group I'm in last year, 2024, and dude, it is an intense game to be posting every day. Or regularly and leading of a group of men around fitness. So one, just kudos to you, because men need it so bad. And it is hard, dude, to convert men to, like, you want to have more sex, you want to have a better business, you want to do these things. Like, men are all for it. And then as soon as you're like, yo, you got to work out 4 to 5 days a week and not eat like an idiot, all of a sudden they melt down. So it's definitely like a different level of discipline when you're talking fitness. So, dude, we need guys like you leading the charge. So thank you.
Heck yeah, dude. I appreciate the kind words.
It's a tough game, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But let's jump into some questions. How old do you find yourself today, Ben?
I am 34, almost 35.
And how's that feel?
Man, so 34 was a weird age for me because I've struggled with injuries this past year.
Mm-hmm.
I've basically, like, I feel like I can do everything I've always been able to do, but for some reason this year I've just been like plagued with injuries, and I've always heard that it's like at some point, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
You hit an age for whatever reason, performance wise, you're still there, but recovery is harder. And I have found myself in that position this year.
Yeah, it's so frustrating when mentally you're like ready to go, but your body's like, nope. I had a lower back issue for like 90 days last year, from like maybe August to, August, September, October, that kind of thing. And it just, dude, it sucked. It sucks so bad. I was at the chiropractor every other week every week until I figured it out. But yeah, it takes time, and it's frustrating. In that time, or right now, what do you think God might be revealing or showing you about who you are? Because, a lot of your identity may fall into, like, I'm a dad who's ripped in the streets of my neighborhood.
Man, I think for me, it might be like rest and Sabbath.
Let's go, dude. Yeah.
This is one area I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to a lot of people, including my dad. My dad's like a big like spiritual hero in my life,
That's
and
awesome.
he's a go getter too, and he
Mm,
struggles with rest. Um, like if we're talking like sharing the gospel, like preaching and stuff like that, speaking truth, he has zero struggles there. Resting, not his strong suit. So I come
mhm,
by it honestly. So I feel like maybe in this year, it's like I catch myself if I like say like the kids are like playing outside and my wife's doing something on Sundays, I'll
mhm,
sneak in a little work if nobody's
mhm.
around. Nobody,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And so I think this year it might be for me, hey man, like rest is important too. And the Sabbath isn't about me always doing what I want to do. It's about resting in Jesus. And I
Mhm.
need to do a better job of that.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's like you're putting this rule on yourself to do better for something that's supposed to be like a free gift. But what I love is God's cool like this, right? You start hearing things from different places, and I would tell you that over the last decade, I've like been learning more about Sabbath and trying to get better at it. But I just picked up because I felt like God was convicting me of it a bit to use, just to use some Christianese words there.
Let's go.
Uh, the last 6 months, and I started hearing it from multiple places. And I picked up Charlie Kirk's book on Sabbath, which is good, dude.
Okay.
I'm only partway through it, but yeah, it's like he wrote it and then it came out after he died. So it's kind of cool. But I think the question, if I start talking about Sabbath, the thing I don't want to ask myself, but that is the ultimate question is, do I trust God? Right. So do I trust God enough with my body? Do I trust God enough with my work that I could take one whole day and not really think about it? And I think that's really the question around Sabbath is like, yo, do I just trust him enough that he's going to do these things? And then I went to Shabbat recently in the last year, with like a Jewish family. And the thing that I noticed was this like Friday night, this acting like everything is complete. So like, all the stuff I work on or you work on during the week, you're like, dude, let's work one more hour, but just like pausing and going, all these things will be complete. And I'm going to sit in them as if they're complete for, Friday night and Saturday or Sunday, whenever you take a Sabbath. Anyways, love it, dude. Okay. So Sabbath, the body, that's what God's showing you in this season. How many years you been married?
I've been married almost 13 years.
Let's go, dude. That's awesome. You guys have been busy. Drum roll. How many kids do you have?
4 kids, 13 years, man.
That's awesome. What are the kids' ages for like oldest to youngest?
11, 10, 7, 3.
Okay. Is there plans for more?
But I think 4 is a great number for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. 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 And then boys and girls, what's the mix?
Got 3 boys, 1 girl.
Okay, dude. So one of them she's got you wrapped around her finger and the other ones are bouncing off the walls.
100%. And she is too, man. She's a go-getter, man. So like we put all the kids in jujitsu this last year
Okay.
and she's a
Cool.
problem. She like and I love it. Like she's definitely aggressive and it's going to
Mhm.
serve her well when she becomes of dating age.
Yes, and serve you well, right? It's
Yes,
like now
that's right.
she's good to go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I wish I would have gotten my kids into jujitsu at a young age and helped them fall in love with it. We tried as teenagers, and then it was like they were in it for a minute, and it was too late to like this is what we do as shouts. It wasn't going to work. So,
Yeah.
okay, what do you think the role of the father is? Like, if you had 2 minutes, you're in an elevator with a new dad, what would you tell him his role is?
I think it's to live a life worth emulating.
Hmm.
And a lot of kids grow up, and I have friends specifically. It's interesting how some people have a wonderful father and still go wayward. And then there's other
Right.
people who have terrible fathers who turn out wonderful. And I don't fully understand how and why it all works. However, I do think it is our job to like set the best example we can possibly set. Because a lot of people, I think, guys who turn out good who had bad fathers, their goal in life is to be the opposite of how their father was.
Yeah.
Maybe to break a generational curse. To be that dad that they wish that they had. Um, So I think your goal, if you're trying to be a good father, is not to be the type of dad that your kid doesn't want to become.
Hmm. Yeah, so emulating it, yeah, and it's tough, right? Like you said, I could be a great father. Not a perfect dad, but I could be a great dad. I'm there, I'm present, I teach them about the Bible, we do all these things, and then my kid still has the chance of like falling off the deep end at times. And a couple years ago, one of my kids made a really bad choice and it was really hard. I struggled with it because I'm like, I got a fatherhood podcast and wrote a fatherhood book,
Mhm.
which is a little like, okay, dude, is this about you or your kid? Um, but one of my mentors said, hey, slow down. Adam and Eve screwed up and they had the perfect dad. So, this is just part of it. How are you going to show up for your kid now? It's part of your growth. It's part of their growth. It's just part of life. So I really found a lot of value in that. Like, okay, cool, and I was making it about me when it really wasn't about me per se,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
it's also this perspective too, I think that's a little bit freeing is,
Totally.
I I won't mention specific names, but I know some people who were wonderful parents, and a child has made terrible choices very much so in the public,
Mm,
and, the parents took this perspective that they ended up with a ministry they didn't want because of it, and then they ended up just leaning into it because
mm,
other parents basically started reaching out to them for advice. Hey, my kid is
mhm,
going through this too. Like, how did you stay rooted in faith? Like, what did you do? And so it's actually turned into a ministry they never wanted. And
mhm.
now they're just like, you know what, Lord, like, show me what to do with this.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting balance, right? It's like the vulnerability, like people grow and desire to connect with people through vulnerability, right? So if I cannot hide it, but also not, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but not use it as a like, I don't know, as a pedestal to like avoid. But
Yeah.
how do I use my story to be part of the kingdom? Because the reality is it's messy. And I think so much of our role is to show our kids, like, I'm gonna emulate like not just like a good dad, but that when I mess up, when I make a mistake, I say sorry. You see me connecting with my own father. Like, I can't meet all your needs. Eventually I got to point you to Father in heaven. So, but that's all part of the emulating, right? Yeah. Yeah. Dude, so good. When did you embrace fatherhood? So 34, have an 11-year-old. So had your first kid, early 20s, newly married, new dad. Were you like, I'm so excited you're pregnant. I want to be a great dad? Or was it at a different point you realized how much it mattered?
Boy, it was a real whirlwind experience because we got married my senior year in college.
Okay.
Like, right before it, I was running track, trying to
Oh,
graduate,
sick.
working very part-time, making 0 money, and, my wife gets pregnant. I don't have, like, a real job, and so I immediately I feel bad looking back at it, Ned, because I think when she
Hmm.
told me, I wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best." I
Mm,
immediately went into, "How am I going to support this situation?"
mhm.
You know? And looking back, I kind of hate it because I immediately started,
Mm.
like, doing numbers and stuff like that, like, "How am I gonna make this happen?"
Yeah, so okay, I hear you say you hate it, and I understand this like culture of, hey, finish college, get a job, maybe buy a house, and then get married, when you're 30. But then there's something also to be said about like doesn't really you're not gonna like really crush it until you got a baby to feed and a wife to make sure doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think there's something unique about that. I think that there's something. I got married too. Like I turned 21 and then 6 days later I got married, and then on our 1 year anniversary it was like, hey, we're having a kid, and it's like nothing is more of a like, oh shit, I better have my life together than I got a wife and kids, and I want to be responsible. So I don't know. And I will tell you that my oldest is 20. And she's like starting a date where it's like she could get married. And as much as I'm like, I hope the guy has his life together, he's also going to be 20 or 21. I think they could get their life together. you
Yep.
know? So I don't know. I've also been a little bit rebellious on looking at like this launching culture and nuclear family and reading books and digging into some of these things. Um, yeah, I don't know. So I think awesome your story, and I don't know that it's
Well, thank you.
bad. I think it's probably shaped the man that I'm looking at today in a lot of ways.
Well, thank you. And I will say this, there's definitely a lot of merit in like building together from nothing
Totally. Yeah.
and having nothing. And even throughout it, even though there's been a lot of struggle, especially early
Mhm.
on, we
Mhm.
were aware and talked about because we heard her parents and my parents talk about, the good old days and like so many fun memories from when they had nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we've really tried to like, we talk about it. I'm like, listen, like one day we're gonna have everything we ever wanted and we're gonna wish we could go back to right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now, not pushback on that, but something I'm thinking about is there's some like we were broke, dude. I had 3 jobs, youth pastor, selling insurance. Our date was splitting a grande Starbucks in a cul-de-sac, around the corner from my house. So it's like on one hand, there's this beauty of looking back at that as a like you're talking about. But then I guess the question is, do I want the same for my kids? And it's not because I don't want them to struggle or learn from failure. That's great. But if you want to think about like leaving a legacy as a family, it would sure be nice if they weren't paying off their student debt at 40 or paying off their house at 65. And so I do think that there's an opportunity for you and I to take our struggle and what we've done and help them build upon our foundation without it creating entitled nepotism. I think it's possible, and I think it's the point versus this like start over every generation. So so here's the thing, your kids are 11 and under. I wish I would have started thinking about that now or like at that age versus now I'm thinking about it now.
Yep.
Um, like multi-gen living and stuff like that. Anyways, we could just go down a huge rabbit hole on that, but we won't. Okay, where do you guys live and tell us what you do for a living to feed the family now?
All right. So Little Rock, Arkansas. Also, just real quick side note, that could be another podcast that we should probably touch on sometime. Maybe I'll have you on my podcast and we'll talk
Okay.
about that last subject.
Okay,
Um,
let's go.
um, I I do a lot of things, Ned. I'm a little bit ADHD, so like my number one source of income would be like what I do online. So Instagram, YouTube, kind of like affiliate marketing style
Cool.
collaborations. I have a workout platform where I sell workout programs,
Mm-hmm.
right? I do a little bit of in-person personal training, and then I also have a marketing job where I help a buddy who has a real estate investment company.
Cool. Cool. Love it. Yeah, man. It's a serious game being on Instagram. So the fact that you're making it work and happen is awesome. And dads, I'll tell you, if you are not feeling like you are in shape and you need support, go check out, what's your page on Instagram? I love your content.
Ben Barker Fitness. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, dude. Ben Barker Fitness. And dude, you're always including your kids and stuff. Um, that's awesome and real. When did fitness become important to you and why?
So for sport, like the most basic reason possible, I played football and ran track in college,
Hmm.
and I've never in my life been the most gifted, just kind of like natural athlete. But I've always had grit. And so I
Mm,
figured out a point if I'm willing to push a little bit harder, if I'm willing to lift a little bit heavier, that's what will give me the edge and enable me one to get on the field or like in track, in the relay in college, the big relays, the 4x100.
mhm.
And like I need to be one of the top four. So like what am I going to do to get there? So it just kind of made sense. And then it was a natural segue after college into a career path.
Dude, so sick. So, like, I never knew anything about track, but my second oldest daughter she's 17, she's a senior, and she's a sprinter, and, she's about to go to Oregon State to run, but they
Nice.
just set, like they broke, like, a record this weekend here in Hawaii. which was cool. I think it was like a stadium record for the 4x1.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, it's so fun to watch, bro. I love it now. Yeah, I love it. So cool. Okay, what's something that you've learned about yourself in the last 11 years of being a dad? Right? You get married and you start to realize, oh, I have some more things to work on. Then you have kids and they're 3 and you're like, okay, I got more to work on. What's something that you've learned about yourself by having kids?
It's one of those things that, you had a questionnaire and I answered this question and I didn't even like my answer, but I wanted to answer as truthfully as possible. And what I learned about myself is that I'm selfish.
Hmm.
And it's so lots of times your kids never ask you to play when it's convenient
Hmm.
or when you really like or want to or are motivated to do it. And it's so easy to just be like, especially when like if I'm working and stuff, I try to tell them like, hey guys, I've got 1 more hour. I'm working from home at like 3:30. Like we're gonna do this thing. But there's times like where I'm sitting on the couch, like doing something that I probably shouldn't be doing, like work wise, just squeezing an extra. And they're like, hey dad, can you play? And I'm like, give me a few more minutes, buddy. And in all reality, I have the time and the energy, and I just don't have the desire at the
To
time
to play.
to
Okay.
play,
Yeah.
to play. And but it's one of those things
Hmm.
like eventually they're gonna quit asking me to play
Hmm.
and I'm gonna wish they would ask me one more time. And so I've
Hmm.
tried to get in a habit when it's not something that's 1000% necessary. If they ask me, just being like, let's do this thing.
Just going all in and just walking away from whatever the work is that you're doing.
Yeah, and especially if I'm able, because deep down,
Hmm.
if you can, and if it's like the most important thing, and I'm on a deadline or whatever, I'll totally do that. Like, hey, buddy, give me 15 minutes, and then I'm all in.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
if it's really not like earth shattering, you can come back to it. And like, I've even gotten to the point now where like, hey, buddy, I've got 15 minutes, but I'm all in. Like, let's go.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point is, can I pause? Because they really only need 15 to 30 minutes of my time, let's just say. So can I pause now instead of delaying it, go scratch that itch that they have, connect with them and come back? And I think that is kind of an art of a dad too, is like, can you compartmentalize and say, okay, I'm going to pause on this, totally let go of it, go do this thing with them, and then come back to it. Because it's like if I say yes, but then all I'm doing is thinking about how I want to craft that email or finish that spreadsheet or whatever, then I'm not really there with the kid, present with the kid. I'm just kind of like checking it off a list, which granted, I don't want to say that's always bad, right? Like sometimes you do need to be working in your head and it's all good. Um, but you don't want that to be the default.
Right.
with y-
Right.
with your 4 kids, it seems like you're able to really invite them into your work. Something that I don't know that all dads do, and I don't want you, dad, thinking, "Oh, well, I can't because I don't. My business is in a gym in my garage or whatever." We all have the opportunity to invite our kids in. Like I talk about our business as a family business. I share with my kids what's going on at times that's appropriate with like this is what's going on with team members or how we gave someone a raise or we're taking care of a family or we're doing these things. So I try to invite them in. And now that my son's 16, I bring him on business trips with me. Um, what's your philosophy on that? And how are you inviting them in to be a part of this?
Yeah, man, there's a real fine line there, Ned, because, um, there's part of you, especially like with like financial stuff. I just
Mm,
want my kids to be kids.
hmm.
I don't ever want them to like worry about finances. However, on the flip side, as a dad, if I don't give them any preparation and they just go off to college and like they're gonna go to the school of hard knocks, right?
Right.
Rather than learning through me. And so I don't know that I have the perfect formula yet. But I'll say as far as like including them in what I do and with like workouts and stuff like that, I would encourage dads out there. A guy told me a long time ago with like working out, if you're sometimes you have to invest in yourself. It's difficult to pour from an empty cup, and so working out is
Mm,
important. And, some people look at it as, I'm taking away time from my kids, right? However, if you go to a normal gym, I think that's important. You may need to get up earlier and go early in the day so it doesn't take away time from your family. Or I think it's okay too to be like, hey, dad's going to take an hour. This is what I'm doing. But having
Mm.
a garage gym, it has really opened things up for me. You can't take kids to a normal gym until they're 13.
Mhm.
Whereas if you've got some weights at home, like sometimes the kids will just color with chalk in the driveway while I'm working out and we like shoot the breeze in between
Mm.
sets. Or they're, hey, dad, will you help me do a set of pull ups? And I put them up on the pull up bar. I hold their legs and help them do a few reps. And man, yesterday, my oldest son does not particularly enjoy exercise, right? He's a pretty like he loves Lego. He's really creative, but exercise not his thing. I have them exercise twice per week, a structured workout, and then the
Nice.
rest of the time is just play. And I've just told them, I'm like, hey guys, this is like brushing your teeth. It's going to serve you for
Mhm.
life. Doesn't matter if you feel like doing it. This is just what part of what we do. But yesterday, I was like, hey buddy, I've got to go down to the garage gym and work out, and they homeschool. And he was like, when I finish, can I come down there with you? And I said, yeah, dude, come on. And dude, he just came out there and he just wanted to do everything that I was doing. And it was really special. And I think that's kind of a product of him seeing me do it for several years.
Mhm.
And I think he's also figured out that it's a good way to get one-on-one time with me.
Mm. Mm. That's so good. I think it's important you bring up, so dads listening, do you need that hour to yourself, or maybe a couple times a week you need that time to yourself to like refresh, do your thing? Like sometimes I could be in the worst mood, go work out, and it is like you're seeing a counselor, dude. It is, you come out feeling so good. So there are times that maybe you need that, but we have a home gym as well. And it's really opened the door because we all had gym membership. And then it was like I had a scheduled time I would go. Sometimes my kids would be there, sometimes they wouldn't. Now that it's at home, um, we find ourselves working out in there together, or I might hear music on, and so then I'll go in and hang out for a little bit. So I'm really enjoying that. So dads, I would encourage you, like maybe you're paying 100, 200, $300 for a gym membership. If you go buy all that equipment, go drop like 5K. I know Ben's got stuff, links and stuff like that for equipment. But if you go, like, that's an investment. So two ways I look at it. One, it's an investment for time with your family. And then two, that stuff's never going to lose its value, like maybe 10% a year at most, but usually it's going up, right? So like you keep that for 5, 10 years, you're going to sell it for almost what you paid for it, most likely. So it's kind of like just an investment in a few ways. So I highly encourage that. Okay, let me ask this. So this is something that's interesting that I'm kind of like learning is, so my oldest is 20, my youngest is 13. And there are times where I'd be like, hey, it's family yoga. Like during COVID, we would do family yoga, and everybody would like, you know, they're not into it. They're just doing it because dad's making them. So there are seasons where it was that. And then now I've had to some level, like not say anything. Like my son, I could ask that kid to work out for the last couple years. I stopped asking him. And now all of a sudden he's working out with his buddies and he's more jacked than I am, which is really kind of irritating to see the testosterone of a 16-year-old. He walks around the house drinking chocolate milk and just is getting ripped. It's irritating. And I'm grateful. But what's interesting is I couldn't push him to do it. It had to be his idea. And then even like his twin sister, I could ask her to work out all the time because she wants to. She's like flag football and she's doing sports, blah, blah, blah. And then last night I see her going to the gym by herself at like 9:30 at night after dinner. And I bring this up because it's like there's a balance of pushing and asking and then like letting it be their thing. And maybe it comes back to your thing about emulating. Like it's there, they know it's there, they see me do it, and then eventually, I don't know. Any thoughts as you've been working with men and fathers on that?
Yeah, man, I think the approach that I think there's a point where it's like it becomes negative, right? If say like you're living
Hmm.
vicariously through your kids because you want them to be a baseball player, and like
Yeah,
maybe you didn't
yeah.
make it big time, but little Johnny's gonna make it, so you're making him practice all of these hours every single week. Like, he's going to burn out. He's probably not going to end up doing it, or he's going to make it and he's going to resent you for, whatever it is.
Right, right, right.
However, I do think there's like, like we have a rule, like if the kids start a sport, like they're going to finish that season
Mm-hmm.
because we finish what we start. Is you don't want to do it again next season, that's fine. But while we're in it, we're going to show up. We're going to be respectful to the coach. And, we talk a lot about effort and attitude, you know? And then with the 2 workouts that I have my kids do per week, it's kind of like, as a parent, it's your kids probably don't want to eat vegetables sometimes, but we know it's good for them, unless you're a carnivore diet, So in that case, the beef is, whatever it may be. But there's certain things that we know for a fact as parents are good for them, whether they
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it or not. And so I just one time they were kind of complaining a little bit. I was like, "Hey guys, here's the deal. Like we have core values for our family, and if you
Hmm.
asked me to quote all 7 of them right now, I would fail. But
Tell us one.
one of them is that we prioritize physical fitness,
Hmm.
right? And I just tell them like, hey guys, it's not always fun. It's not always going to feel good, but you're going to do this 2 times per week. It's going to happen every single week, whether you complain or not. And so we're just going to show up and do a good job. It's just like we're going to brush your teeth twice per day, every day. Doesn't always feel good, slightly annoying, but we know you need to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of those things that really, as a father, you have to be bought in on to be able to pass on to your kids.
Yes.
Um, what do you think? It's like a dad listening who's like, "Oh, heard it all, fitness, fitness, fitness," and he's still, 25% body fat or whatever, 20% body fat. He's like borderline unhealthy because of that. What's the story you tell to help bring somebody across the line when they're like, I kind of want to care, but I don't?
It's It's hard to because I think most people know it's better, and most people also know what to do
Mm-hmm.
in order to get fit. But man, it's just one of those things. I look at it a few different ways. It's like one, at the very least, I want to be attractive to my wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number one, I would hate for my wife to be looking at all these. When I'm not saying she would, but just to notice, we're all like creatures, and we can see with our eyes when one of these
Mm-hmm.
things is not like the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you see on TV and stuff, wives will joke about, like on sitcoms, about their husband being out of shape and, oh, he can't do this or do that. Like, one, I want my wife to know if there's ever an issue, like I'm the guy.
What is up, my dudes? Forgive me for interrupting you, but if you have a son, you will want to hear this. As you know, I have been involved with Rise Up Kings the last 5, almost 6 years. Incredibly impacted my life in massive ways in faith, family, fitness, and finance. And this past year, they launched the Genesis program, a 3-day rite of passage for young men ages 13 to 17, where a father can attend and be a part of this process. Truly incredible. And I have an incredible honor, privilege of, after the 3-day event, there's a 6-month mastermind every other week for the fathers, every other week for the sons, and I am leading, coaching that. And this last week I met with the sons on the call, and I mean, they are leading with prayer, they are leading devotion, they are working to respect their mothers and build relationships with their siblings and have a respectful, honoring, growing relationship with their fathers. Something each one of us, I mean, I have a 16-year-old right now, and this is incredibly important as you and I are kings in our kingdoms and in God's kingdom, wanting to ensure that life and family values lives well beyond our time here on this earth. So go register. They are going to do a program once a month. I believe these are going to fill up incredibly fast. The cost is very fair. Please go register, sign up, check this out. It will be something that you will look back on as a linchpin moment in your relationship with your son and in his relationship with himself, with you, and with God. You can go to www.riseupkings.com/FFN for Fatherhood Field Notes. Much love, my dudes. Thanks. Mm-hmm.
Like, she can count on me. I can pick up my wife and I can carry her. If she were injured, if I needed to get to my kids quickly, I can do those things. And then the same thing with my kids. Like, I would never want to be a joke to my kids.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like like dad can't hang.
Mm-hmm.
Look at these pictures of when dad used to be fit.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, uh, you're of better use to your wife, your kids, and your community if we're talking from a service
Mm-hmm.
standpoint.
Yes, you are. Yeah, and that's a what we used to talk about, or what I would bring up is like, are you an asset or a liability? Like, if there's a
Yes.
fire right now in a building, are people like, oh my god, I got to help this guy too? Or are they like, hey, come over here, dude, we need your help? Like I want to be the guy that they're like, yo, we need your help to make sure that this thing is resolved in an efficient way. Um, Dude, I saw an incredible, it was like a Christmas, it's sad, it's probably for some car or something like that. I don't even know what it was for. But it like kept showing all these clips of this grandpa lifting a kettlebell, and it kept going like from a smaller to a bigger kettlebell. And you're like, what the heck is this guy training with this kettlebell for? And then it came to his family was over, and he picks up his grandson who's like, I don't know, whatever, 4 or something. And he lifts him up above his head to put the star on the Christmas tree. And I just thought, dude, that's the reason, right? Like, that's the reason I would like to stay in shape, is to be able to get on the ground and roll around with my grandkids, to be able to pick up a 4-year-old and help them to put the star on the tree. And I want to live to 100. So that's like the goal. So you got to take care of the body. There's so many reasons to do it. Why do so many guys just not?
It's hard, and then 2, there's no immediate gratification.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
especially if you've gotten to a certain point, like maybe you've got 50 pounds to lose or 100
Yeah.
pounds to lose. It's gonna be a long time until you see the things that you're hoping to see.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're gonna watch Netflix or whatever, or drink a beer or have a hamburger, it immediately feels good.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna
Yeah.
be a year with working out. Maybe if you hit it hard 3 to 6 months, but it's gonna take some serious time and effort, and it just kinda seems like a losing battle to a lot of
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, and I'm down for like the 90-day challenges or the 75 hard. It's just you see so many guys who are, if like you're really disciplined, you're like, okay, cool, I committed to this, but then you look like a year later and they're kind of, oh, not maybe back exactly where they are, but close. And I think that's where you have to make a shift as a dude from discipline to identity. Like, this is just who I am now. Right? Is I'm not doing this because I said I would. I'm doing this because it's like a long haul identity shift in the 90 days, not just the whatever, get to 15% body fat or whatever it is that you want to get to. What do you see change for guys mentally, physically, spiritually, when they've like made that identity shift, and maybe it's like they put a year in and this is like who they are now? What are the things that you see really shift in their world?
Man, I saw, or I was actually on another podcast this morning,
Oh, cool.
and, the guy was talking about how discipline begets discipline. And, like on my podcast a lot, Ned, I'll talk about, and it's very corny, but it's like faith, family, fitness, finances, freedom.
Mm,
There's something about when you start paying attention to like every facet, it's like, oh, I've gotten more fit, discipline worked here. What if I put the same amount of emphasis on my finances?
hmm
Right? And you cut out some subscription services, and you start a side hustle or whatever. And you're like, oh, this is nice, you know? And then you put that same amount of discipline into your marriage or into fatherhood, what your faith, whatever it may be. And I feel like it's almost like a gateway drug. So say you start with fitness, it makes you want to
mm,
level up other areas as well.
yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, I see for a lot of guys who step into this, like all of a sudden they've been trying forever to like not look at porn or to stop drinking. And all of a sudden you get discipline in your food. Even if you're like 75% disciplined in your food, you're like training yourself to say no to something you want right now, you know? So I've seen guys that's like, dude, porn and this stuff is not an issue for me anymore. Sex definitely increases when you don't look like an idiot. I'm just kind of joking, but really, like if you get in shape, and here's the thing, it's not even about getting a 6 pack, because I don't know that that's really the end goal necessarily, but there's something about, like, I'll tell you this, I don't want to say that's the wrong word. I was going to say I'm attracted to a woman who, I would be more drawn to a woman who takes care of herself. Honestly, don't care about your weight, don't care about your height, don't care about a lot of things. But when a woman takes care of herself, there's something attractive about her. And same's true for a dude. Like if you take care of yourself, there is something attractive about that. Um, yeah, I had one other thought, but I can't think of what it was. There's so much value in taking care of your body and like really looking at your body as a temple worthy of stewardship.
Yep.
Uh,
And, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I think that Christianity, like that's one thing I disloathe is like a fat pastor on stage talking about discipline. I'm like, Shh, just shut up, just just stop. I think that's something Christianity has messed up on a little bit is we haven't put an emphasis on that being not that everybody has to be like wicked in shape, but do you take care of this temple? And I don't know that we've made any kind of emphasis on that in general as Christians.
Man, and you think about heroes in the Bible,
Oh yeah,
like David could be dangerous if he needed to be. Do you know what I'm saying? And he
yeah,
was.
yeah.
And there's that quote, and it's like you need good men who are willing to do violence if they need to, you
Hmm.
know? And it's like strength under control, aggression under control. And I think those things are important. And I think a lot of men are think they're willing and they're ready, but they're not.
Yeah. What do you think about this? So say somebody's, they're in it for a year, they're in the game, they've committed, they got the home gym. This is something I personally struggle with is it's like, okay, so I'll give you an example. I got super shredded for my 40th birthday. I was like, it was a goal, whatever, looked awesome. I was like, I don't know, 10% body fat, maybe it was great. It's like not really sustainable. If I want those other four pillars you talked about to also matter, so my question to you is like, how do you talk through it for yourself or for guys? It's like, okay, you're in this, but somebody said, don't trust anybody with a six pack or a clean garage because they're probably neglecting their family. Um, so in your opinion, how do you not get obsessed with it into like into the negative of like, oh my gosh, I got to really look good for the beach or I got to do this. It's like, I'm doing this for the right reasons. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's hard because I think vanity can become an issue.
Hmm.
And if you're training so much that it's genuinely taking away time from your family, like hours upon hours per day, that's a problem.
Right.
And so one, I think it's like uh, be in the right place spiritually,
Hmm.
spend time in the Bible, um, listen to your wife because she's probably going to tell you if you're not spending your time wisely, and then
Hmm.
also get around other men who are striving for excellence in each of those areas,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? If you're going to hang out with guys who are spending 3, 4, 5 hours a day, doing just the things that they want to do, like you're going to fall into that trap as well. And like, talking about getting away from the old ball and chain and garbage like that. Whereas if you're
Hmm.
around guys who are like legit striving to be the best husband and father that they can be, they don't talk smack about their wife, and they're doing enough to be fit. You know who Tim Ferriss is?
Yeah.
So there's like the minimal effective dose, right?
Mm.
I love working out and I could do it about as much as I want and not get tired of it.
Mhm.
Um, whereas now I'm at the point in my life where I am trying to train as hard as I possibly can in as little time as possible.
Mm.
And then on top of that, I think people get in this thing, Ned, where it's like I've got to do so many hours per day. And I've learned that it's one, if you're training like 3, 4 days a week hard,
Mhm.
but you're eating right, and then you're just being as physically active as possible. Like we're not meant to train for 1 hour a day and then sit for 23 hours.
Right. Right, right,
If
right.
if you're getting out and like playing with your kids, man, and getting active in the yard and like going for hikes and things like that, that's going to add to your fitness level. It doesn't take hours in the gym.
Yeah, that's good. So for you, would you say a healthy maintenance level? So you kind of said, don't sit all day, work out 3 to 4 times a week hard, eat eat relatively like well whole foods, not too much sugar, not too much alcohol, or no alcohol. I don't think, depends where you sit on that. And then what about body fat percentage? Like if I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty good, but I'm at 25% body fat, where do you suggest guys sit and you're like, yep, you're good to be in a maintenance mode?
Yeah. Man, if you're in that, like, I think you'd be surprised. 12 if you're at 12 to 15%, like, even, like, 15%,
Hmm.
like, you're doing pretty good. And with that being said, if I see a guy who maybe his midsection isn't perfect, but they've got jacked shoulders,
Hmm.
arms, and calves, like, I'm all good, man. You do your thing. And lots of times, those are some of the baddest dudes anyways. They're not worried about the six pack, they're worried
Yeah.
more about performance and strength. Like, I'm all
Hmm.
good there, man.
Yeah, yeah, killer. Okay, love it. All right, as you think about fatherhood, is there a story that comes to mind that you're like, I'd love to share this story about fatherhood or about yourself or about something related to living and running a family? Anything come to mind?
One funny story, is so I have this social media thing, and I joke around about being like the strongest dad on my street and all
Yes,
this
I
other
love it.
stuff.
Yeah.
My oldest son has really picked up on it, and so
Okay.
it's like this thing. He'll be like, "Dad, who would win in a fight, the Hulk or your pinky finger?" And I'm like, "Man, it's gonna be a bad day to be the Hulk," and stuff like that. So all that to get to, I've got this competition coming up that I'm doing, in Austin, and it's kind of like an NFL combine for washed up athletes, and I fully assume I could potentially be the oldest guy there, right? I think it's gonna be a lot of guys, like, fresh out of college. I would have to have a very good day in order to place or be mentioned, and my youngest son fully believes that I'm gonna win.
That's awesome.
Uh, he sees no reasons why I won't be on the podium, and, I've realized that I've created a bit of, a problem for myself, and I'll keep you posted on how that turns out.
Yes, I want to see how this turns out. So is the family going with you or no?
Yeah, they're going with me. We're gonna make a
Uh,
weekend out of it and we'll go to knock out some stuff in Austin, and we'll hit Dallas on the way home as well.
dude, that's awesome. Yeah, but I mean, how old is your oldest son? Is he
My oldest is 11,
okay?
and then it was my 7-year-old, my 3rd, who
Okay,
who
so
literally thinks I'm gonna destroy everybody.
yeah, and that's interesting is that it's like you want to be your kid's hero, right? So it's like I want to be my kid's hero, but then it's interesting to think that at a certain point, we do they find out that we're not the strongest man on the planet, right? Which is kind of sad and also just true. But it's like there's also this. So here's a question for you: is how do you pass your belief, your faith, the things that are true to who what you believe about life to your kids, So take that 7-year-old, right? And he's 18, 19. He's going to kind of start to go build his own family, do his own thing. There's been a shift, right? Where he probably doesn't think you could beat up the Hulk anymore, but he sees the vulnerable parts of you that, rely on God, and you've taught him to do the same. What are the couple things that are gonna be really important that you feel like you've passed from you to him in the time that he lived under your roof? What would those things be?
Man, a couple things. One is, I haven't done everything right, but I'm married really, really well,
Mm,
and, maybe it was prayer, it was maybe a little bit of luck, I don't know, but, I put a lot of thought and effort into that, and I think they're gonna see that, and I really hope that's gonna play a big factor for them in choosing a spouse. Um, my wife and I have a lot of fun. We're
mm.
13 years deep. We're still having a great time. Not to say we haven't had moments, because we definitely have. But boy, man, if I gave them anything, that'd be number one.
Mm. So, is it that you put time and effort into you know, choosing a wife, or was it time and energy into cultivating your relationship over the last 13 years? What are you referring to there, or both?
Both. So I
Okay.
met this guy, and so one, this is kinda getting back to the whole iron sharpens iron thing and
Mhm.
getting around the right people. Uh, like my senior year in high school, I was not living right. Um, just it was about girls, and this guy who was like a volunteer youth pastor at my church, dude wasn't even getting paid, and he was like, "Hey, man, I bought you this Bible." He said, "I challenge you to read 10 verses a day." Just he was like, "I would start in Proverbs, and when you finish, just start again." He's like, "Just 10
Mm.
verses." And then he was like, also, he's like, "This is totally random." He said, "Start praying for your spouse."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Dude, I'm like 17 years old, my guy." You know, like
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
but he was like, literally, just every night, be like, pray that God would prepare your future spouse for you and you for your future spouse.
Mm.
And oddly enough, I did it for whatever it was, 6 years. And come to find out, my wife had been praying for me as well. And so it's something I've talked with my kids about, like, we
Mm.
pray for their future spouses,
Yep.
and I don't think they've started doing it themselves yet, but one day when they get in that groove, I hope they do as well.
Yeah, yeah. You're creating that culture in your home. Uh, Man, I love that because I think it is really a critical component to this whole story we're a part of, is this marriage thing, right? If and somebody asked me recently, and my podcast listeners hear me say this all the time, is like, if there's one thing that I can say is true when I'm 85 or 90, it's that I'm still married to Sarah, my
Let's
wife.
go.
Like, and that is probably going to be the hardest thing that I do, and probably the most important. Um, Probably the most important. We've been married. We're on our 22nd, 23rd year. We got
Let's
married
go.
in 2004. 22 years, I guess. So 2004. Anyways, it's so important. Um, and it needs to be talked about in our homes with our kids. And also finding that balance of like, man, you got 4 kids, I got 5. Um, we don't want to create shame for our kids to not trust that they can talk to us if and when something is to come up or not work, but also to help them be intentional as much as possible in this arena. Uh, it's an important one.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you're talking about that with your kids already. We've been praying for our kids' spouses, and like when we pray as a family, like at our family dinner not once a week, now we pray for their spouses. And
Love
it's
that.
simple, right? It's simple, but it's just this acknowledgement, right? You're already saying, "Hey God, I want to partner with you on this thing that matters." Um Dude, love it. Okay, the theme is, we Fatherhood Field Notes, the name of the podcast. The theme is rebel and create. As men, we want to be warriors. We want to be fighters. We want to rebel, but not for the sake of tearing something down and being destructive, but to create something beautiful in its place. So for you, what's something you're rebelling against as a man, and then what do you hope to create in its place?
Man, for me, it's passivity.
Mm.
And I think a lot of guys are just kind of sitting back, sleepwalking through life, without a fire in their belly. And boy, you get one shot at this,
Mm.
and like if you let life take the reins, you're going to end up in a place you don't want to be with people you don't want to be there with. And there's like you've seen so many guys with awesome comeback stories or like
Mm.
rags to riches and all that other type stuff. And I've always loved the saying, like, why not you? Why not me?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, dude. And it's like every man wants to feel valued, needed, respected. Uh, we want that from our wife. We want that from our kids. We want that from our peers. And it just won't come from being passive. And I think some men believe this lie that I need to just kind of like be a bitch in my house for my family, for my wife. It's she doesn't respect that. There's supposed to be a bit of this like tension. Uh, like going back to you, it's like not that your family wants to fear that you would be violent with them, but there's still this like there's a man in the house. You know, it was funny last night. My wife and I were laying in bed. And I'm like, you smell good, like you smell good. And she got a haircut yesterday. She's looking good. And she's like, she made some comment about like, obviously I smell good and you don't always. And I was like, yeah, that's because I'm a man. And there's just like, even in that, it's supposed to be this, like bringing these two things together of this like fun. And so anyways, the whole passive thing, like I've seen people get divorced. A dude thought he was doing all the right things by being the pool boy for the family, and nobody respected him. And it's like, be a man. But again, what does that mean? We're not talking about some patriarchal a-hole. Like, die for your family like Christ did. But Christ also, like, he had some expectations. He went and flipped over some tables. He was a force, right? And so I think but we need to be coached in it. We need to be listening to podcasts like Ben. We need to be following Ben. We need to be listening to this. There's so much stuff out there that's not just BS entertainment that can help level us up. But going back to what you said originally, Ben, it really comes down to the people you're spending time with, right? Like, do you have a group of peers that are all leveling each other up for the sake of, in my words would be like, for the sake of the kingdom, for the sake of your family, not so that we can just like all make a gazillion dollars and sacrifice our families. Do both if you can, but don't sacrifice your family for the other things. All right, Ben, any final thoughts before I ask you to do something for us?
Um, as you're sitting there talking about it, I was just thinking about, being a man that your family respects. You have to
Mm,
give them something worth respecting. And I was literally thinking my wife
mm,
has asked me 3 times to, she needs windshield wipers for her car, and, act quickly, take action quickly, and do what you
that's
say
so
you're gonna
good.
do.
Yeah. Oh man. Dude, it's so simple. Like the thing they want to be taken care of. Bro, my wife last night was like, yo, my back left tire's low. And you've known that since Sunday. uh, oh my gosh. Yeah. Uh, Definitely an area, and this is probably too much for our listeners, and we're going to ask you to do something spiritual in a second. But one of my
Okay.
good friends, I won't say his name, but he like kind of goes above and beyond sometimes for his wife, and I'm like, we give him a little crap. He's like, she lets me see her boobs. He's like, what do you want me to do, bro? She lets me see her boobs, and I'm like, that should just be like a kind of like mental reminder, like fill up the air in the tires, put the windshield wipers on. These are not complicated things to get to see boobs. Uh, so so just do it. Okay, so now shifting gears. If there's a guy right now who's listening to this and he's like, he, I think that men have an incredible opportunity for like you to put your hand on my shoulder and say, hey, Ned, you're really doing a great job. Like, I see you. That to me is a blessing, right? Because you're speaking life to me. And I think men just need more of that. We're really good at digging at each other and bantering, which is also fun, right? But there are moments when a man needs to hear, like, I see you, you matter, whatever. So if you were imagining there's a guy in the gym right now, he's on a run right now, he's on a car right now, whatever, what's a word of life or blessing you would just speak into his mind and heart and soul right now?
Man, one, uh, it's like if you're in the trenches, sometimes it's hard to see yourself coming out on the other side. Uh,
Mm,
but putting in the reps is gonna pay off.
mhm,
And like whether it be, I know like sometimes if you're in a tough spot in your marriage, like it doesn't feel good to be the one to die to yourself
mm,
and do the right things, but at a point somebody's got to do it. My wife and
love
I have
that.
talked, we had a podcast where it was like marriage isn't 50-50, it's 60-40,
Mm,
and you need to be the one willing to do the 60. And if you get in a spot where both of you are willing to do the 60, that's when things are
mm.
really, really good. But at times, somebody's only got 40 to give, and you got to do the 60. And as the man, I believe that's your job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. So dudes, receive that, hear that when you're in that predicament, like don't be looking for her to give 60, go, how can I give the 60, right? Without keeping a tally in your head. I mean, that is such a good word of wisdom. Ben, one last time, what's the Instagram handle? I would love for people right now, go follow it so you can just get the wisdom from Ben.
Ben Barker Fitness.
Ben Barker Fitness, regularly just encouraging men to be fit, love their wife, love their kids, love Jesus, but in a different order. Uh, so Ben, dude, thank you for the man you are. Thank you for the work you've done. Thank you for the way that you love and serve your wife and kids and the way that you share it with the world. Dude, just much love and blessing to you and your family, dude. I just pray that your business just continues to explode so that you can have the influence that you want while you love and serve your family. And I look forward to our paths crossing again.
Let's go, bro. Appreciate you, Ned.
All right. Until next time. What a great conversation. Just a genuine dude who is showing up regularly to love and serve his family while being present and available and leading men around him to really be at their highest and best. And one of the things that even at the end we're joking, but that I'm kind of reminded of is these simple tasks of love, right? Like knowing your wife, especially the things that matter to her, to be seen, to be known, right? And I love that Ben really said that the thing that was most important for him to pass to his kids was that he wanted them to see how much he loved and served and was intentional with his wife. And it's those little things, right? It's the windshield wipers, it's the air in the tire, it's the fill up the car with gas, it's the take out the trash. It's these things that I don't just want to provide and protect and be the stinky dude who's here for the family, but I see you and I see your needs and I want to be the guy who meets them. Because here's the thing, how critical is this that your daughters are watching you do that for your wife and your son is watching you do that for your wife? So really key, really important. And the takeaway for me is like remembering that the air in the tires isn't the air in the tires as much as it is an opportunity to fulfill all of my purpose in loving and serving my family well. They're opportunities, not necessarily just another stupid thing that I have to get done before somebody's irritated at me. If we could shift our mindset on that, it's an opportunity to love and serve my family in a really simple way, and I'm capable of doing it, which makes it even better. All right, my friends, if you haven't written a review, please do so. If you haven't shared the podcast with a friend, please do so. Just send a text, right? Even how I talked to Ben about that idea of putting your hand on someone's shoulder and blessing them. Shoot a text to a dad, say, hey dude, you're a great dad. I see you. You inspire me. They could be younger, they could be older, it doesn't matter. But to hear that, to see that, imagine what that would do for your soul. Like right now, I'm telling you, dude, the fact that you're even still listening to this, you care and you're doing a great job. Thank you for being here. Really, I mean it. It matters, right? It feels good to hear that. And when it's true and authentic. So send a text to a homie, include this link to this podcast, say, check it out. I think you'd enjoy. All right, my friend, thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do. What you do matters. Don't be like everybody else. Be yourself. That's who your kids, spouse, and community needs. This is your guide, Ned Shout. Together, let's rebel against the view that fatherhood has little impact, and let's create lives engaged in mastering the craft of fatherhood. I look forward to hanging out with you next time.